No, it was just bitching about
Oh, come on.
the New York Yankees. Like, I don't care. Like, I literally don't care that they're on at all. Like, you're gonna watch.
I made one comment.
Like, you're gonna watch it anyway. Like, it's the same. What's the difference if you tune in like 4 minutes late? Like, literally nothing.
That's crazy. You're playing me off as a bad guy.
So last night, Monday Night Football, or 2 nights ago, Monday Night Football, I said that we were finally going to see like the Chiefs offense struggle. And like on paper, like the stats that they put up, like Mahomes had 331, but he didn't even have a touchdown. Kareem Hunt had 102 yards. He had a touchdown. And then Juju Smith-Schuster had 130 yards receiving. Like,
that
crazy.
pissed me off so much.
Literally insane. But the Chiefs only had 2 touchdowns in this game. So again, they're 5-0. They're finding ways to win. I get it. Like, I was wrong, but ultimately they only put up 26. They put up 26 points, but they only scored 2 touchdowns. Harrison Butker in their kicking game is like legitimately what's saving them and keeping them in games this season. which it is a part of the game, but it is also a little frustrating watching this. But I don't know after Monday Night Football if it's like, was that a really impressive Chiefs win because everybody's like the Chiefs dominated, or when me and you were cautious about the Saints through the first 2 weeks of the season, is this exactly who we thought the Saints were going to be? They're just not a good football team. On the defensive side of the football, they didn't even bother to show up. They didn't cover anybody.
Unsuccessful.
Sorry.
Check your app for instructions and try again.
Sorry, I have a girl over. And I just am confused. Like I said, I think that like, what do you think this more of? Like, do you think this is a really impressive Chiefs win, or do you think the Saints suck? Because I think the Saints suck.
I mean, I think the Saints are, like you said, who we thought they were. But do I think that this was an impressive Chiefs win? No. I mean, I think this is just an average Chiefs win. I mean, besides this past week, it feels like 26 points has pretty much been like right around the average as far as points go in the NFL. Obviously, there was plenty of games above that this week, but
for sure,
I don't know. I feel like 26 points is just like a normal game, a normal NFL game at this point. I wasn't really impressed or like discouraged by anything necessarily from Kansas City. But it just goes to show like how fluky those first few weeks were for the New Orleans Saints. Like that first interception that Derek Carr threw, that's like a clip that you'll put up on X, and like the clown circus noise will be in the background. That's how bad of a throw that was.
I literally took Saints money line and he threw that throw and I was like, the game's over. Like literally, It was like, it's over. It was over when that happened.
Just throw it away. Like throw it out of bounds, live to see another down. Instead, he tried to make a play that wasn't even there into double coverage. Like it wasn't a good throw by any means. I mean, they did kind of battle back. Like he had a nice throw to Rashid Shaheed later in the game. And they kind of had a chance in the second half. They weren't completely dead, but
they weren't. The only reason why they weren't completely dead is like the reason of what I brought up earlier is like the Chiefs just aren't really good in the red zone at all.
No,
like the Chiefs, if they had a decent red zone offense, they would have put up 49 points in this game. Like they just can't do it. They can't get it done. And that's why these teams like the New Orleans Saints continue to just like stay in things. And it's interesting, but that's really my takeaway from Monday night. And I don't think Kareem Hunt and Juju Smith-Schuster have another game like that for the rest of their career.
Yeah, I was just about to say that I can, if anybody's going to have a game like that, it's probably going to be Kareem Hunt. But like, when's the last time Kareem Hunt's had 102 rushing yards in an NFL game? It's probably been 4 years.
Yeah.
And then Juju Smith-Schuster was literally cut by the Patriots this preseason. I mean, good for him. He had a great game, but like, if you're expecting Juju Smith-Schuster to be the one to carry your offense from a wide receiver standpoint while Rashee Rice is out, like, I've got bad news for you.
So speaking on that, like everybody is like saying now, we talked about it already, but somebody brought it up to me again. Like the Chiefs are trying to three-peat, like they need to go get Tay Adams. It's just like so, and it's just like so short-sighted. I feel like it's cool to be able to three-peat. It's never been done, but also at the same time, you have Patrick Mahomes for the.
They're 4-0. They're 4-0.
They're 5-0.
5-0. Sorry,
that's what I just said.
Like
they're 5-0. They're undefeated, and on top of that, you have Patrick Mahomes for the next 10 years. What purpose is there to completely fuck up like what you have been building from the ground up? Like they have a great infrastructure. They're great at drafting. They invested resources in all these positions that they're like saying to go out and get. Those conversations just like need to stop. It's not like the Chiefs are 2-3 and their offense, like I said, I don't love their offense, but it's not like their offense is like the Steelers offense. And
yeah,
on a week-to-week basis, it's losing them football games. And like they're like, okay, like we absolutely need to do something. They're able to get by like this. So I guess I just don't understand why it's even talked about. And I just, like I said, I just kind of wanted to put it to an end. Like if they're undefeated, they're playing good football, and you have Patrick Mahomes for a long period. Like you could win a lot of Super Bowls with this team. You might not three-peat this year, but there is probably, when you have Patrick Mahomes on your roster, at some point in his tenure with the Kansas City Chiefs, he will probably lead them back to another Super Bowl, at least one.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Why get a, and we talked about it already, so sorry to repeat myself, a receiver who age 33 and 34 season is going to be making 35 mil a pop just because they wanted a chance to three-peat this year. I just feel like it's really short-sighted, and those conversations I'm a little bit over, like hearing about like Tay to the Chiefs.
I mean, they don't even, this receiving core, even though it is deplenished, is like already not good, and they're 5-0. And we saw Mahomes lead this team to a Super Bowl last year with a receiving core that was equally as bad. So like, I don't understand that narrative either. As long as you've Patrick Mahomes, you'll probably be okay. I mean, that guy finds a way to win football games week in and week out, pretty much regardless of who is out there catching passes. So like, maybe if you're just like a fan, you are like, oh, cool, like Devontae Adams is a good receiver, and it'd be fun to have him on the team as like a Mahomes, Devontae Adams dynamic duo type situation. But like, you don't need him. You're 5-0. You have the best quarterback in the NFL, and like, it's not like you're going out there and putting up 14 points a game.
I completely agree. Okay, to move on. I mean, like obviously, I feel like we absolutely need to talk about that Robert Saleh got fired.
Yeah.
Honestly, good for the Jets to have the balls to go and do this. I feel like it needs to be done, and I think me and you stand in solidarity by saying Vrabel to the Jets is like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think that would be a phenomenal fit for them. When we were texting about this, and you did mention Belichick, my only like thought about him not wanting to go there is because it's like a Patriots rival, but also that could be an incentive for him to want to go there. Like, hey, I left New England maybe a little sooner than I wanted to, and I kind of felt like I was forced out. So maybe I want to get a little bit of revenge on them. But other than that, like, I think Vrabel makes a lot more sense for this Jets team. We've seen him lead teams with way less talent than this Jets team. He's just a gritty guy, a gritty head coach that it seems like players love to play for him. And he's just some type of advisor for the Browns, I believe. And they're an absolute dumpster fire. He walks over to the Jets and he's in an automatic better spot from a standpoint of are we able to have success here versus the type of success that you can't have in Cleveland?
Can I say something that like is crazy? Is that like everybody's just like, this was Aaron Rodgers, like blah blah blah. I feel like as of now, the overblown of like what Aaron Rodgers is to this organization might be just like so out of hand. Like, I don't think at all that like Aaron Rodgers was like fire Saleh.
There was that clip going around from, and I know that that whole thing is like satire between Rodgers and Caleb Presley from Sunday Conversations, and that's all fun and games, right? I think people are actually like kind of running with that and are like thinking that Rodgers had like even more of a legitimate like say in Saleh getting fired. But even if he did or if he didn't, that was the right move for whoever ultimately made that decision, because Saleh just wasn't a good head coach. They lost football games this year that they probably shouldn't have lost. And in order for them to have any shot moving forward, they needed to make this move.
I guess the real way that we'll be able to figure out is like if Hackett just calls the offense for the rest of the season. But like, I don't think that like he got fired because he took away Hackett's play calling duties. Like, Hackett's play calling duties need to be taken away. They have the worst offense in the NFL. Like through the exact same amount of games last season compared to now, they have put up the exact same amount of points that they did to Zach Wilson. Yeah. So like, this offense just isn't good. It has looked disjointed this entire time. I said that even after they played the Patriots, I was like, that was a game that they should have put up 40 and they scored like 23 points. So like, it's just, this offense just isn't good. And like, I just think they need to make multiple changes, but what needs to get done is like, they play what? They play Monday.
They play the Bills on Monday night.
Either by this week or legitimately like right after the game on Monday, they need to announce who the head coach is and they need to trade for Devontae Adams. Like, how serious are you about winning a Super Bowl this year? Just fired your head coach. I was expecting some news to break today that they hired somebody, and it never broke. So I feel like they're already a little bit behind the 8 ball. I don't understand why they haven't traded for Tay yet. They need to hurry up and make moves because you can't continue to drop games that you need to win. And then they play a tough divisional opponent against the Bills this week. And honestly, like, for morale purposes, like, this is like almost a must win for them.
Yeah, we would obviously talk about this game on Monday, but I completely agree. Like, you can't afford to lose this game. Buffalo hasn't been playing great football the last 2 weeks. Like, they're in a vulnerable spot, but at the same time, like, this almost feels like a must-win game kind of for Buffalo at the same on the opposite end of things. Like, they need to get over the hump and get back to playing good football, and it doesn't feel like they really can afford to lose this game either. So I don't know if it's the greatest. I'm always torn between like hiring a guy like immediately or like making sure you're hiring the right guy. Like, I don't want them to rush it and bring in somebody that isn't the right guy for the head coaching job, even though
there's two names.
We both, yeah, I know. Even though
there's
we just
two
rattled
names
off
right now.
Two names, yeah.
If you either hire Belichick or Vrabel, like, there's two names.
I agree, but we've seen the way that the Jets have operated. This was like the best move that they've made in like multiple years from a coaching perspective. So I don't necessarily know if I trust them to make the decision of Vrabel or Belichick this quickly, if at all. So that's my like hesitation with it. I just don't trust the Jets front office.
All right. Well, we'll see if the Jets can turn around. Did we talk about the Steelers on the last one with Justin Fields?
I believe we talked about it briefly.
So the NFL has put out the power rankings, and they have like San Fran 18 and like like some deep teams like on their list who are obviously better. And then they have like the Pittsburgh Steelers at 10. And somebody sent it to me and was like, Pittsburgh Steelers at 10, like you're sleeping on them. And I was just like, the Steelers just dropped back-to-back games to the Cowboys at home and the Colts
versus a backup quarterback.
This entire season, and I think we've talked about this already, so sorry to repeat myself. They have put up 18 points, 13 points, 20 points, 24 points, and 17 points.
That's not a top 10 team.
This team's not good. I don't understand like what there really is to talk about. They're 3-2. I think, like I said, I think that we're about to watch the Steelers go through a dark period, but like Russ was a full participant in practice this week. And for the Justin Fields truthers who are out there, like he's getting benched this weekend. So like I'm done hearing about like how Justin Fields is a top 10 quarterback. This team's really good, like blah, blah, blah. If this team was that good and Justin Fields was a top 10 quarterback and you're 3-2, you don't make a quarterback change for Russell Wilson. So yeah. I just think that like whoever is on the Steelers, I would hate to be on the side of the Steelers personally.
Yeah, I'm seeing some articles here about Russ and basically how like Mike Tomlin said that the quarterback position is like the door is open for Russ to potentially come in and take over a quarterback, which probably isn't a great sign if you're Justin Fields at this point. But like you kind of had to expect something along those lines where, all right, you had a hot start, but was it that realistic for you to carry that same type of play throughout a full season? Probably not. They rely on their defense too much, and they can't score enough points on offense. Yes, they have 3 wins, but we saw these last 2 weeks where they didn't look great, and they lost to 2 teams that if you were a top 10 team, according to the power rankings, you would have probably won both of those games. So I think a change is right around the corner for the Steelers, and I do think we see Russ sooner rather than later.
On that list, they had like the Cowboys at like 15, and they just lost to the Cowboys at home. Like it's just like, well, what's with none of their defensive starters? It's like that list is bad. Like the NFL just put whoever made that list, it's a bad list. Like it's not serious.
They did the wheel from the yak and just put it.
It seems
whoever.
Like the Vikings were like big shock. The 2 teams that were undefeated were 1 and 2.
Right.
Like in my head, like that's lazy because honestly, if you watch football, the 2 teams that are undefeated, they're not the best football teams in the league right now. Like just because you haven't lost a game doesn't mean you're the best team in the NFL. I don't care what anyone says.
I think the Ravens are the best team in the NFL right now.
I back you on that. That's who I think is the best team. All right, let's talk about Thursday Night Football. San Fran at the 49ers, -3.5. They're away favorites by 3.5 points. The over-under is 49.5. Other than like injuries to the front for the Seahawks, I'm not really understanding why they're 3-point favorites on the road in Seattle.
I just think that those injuries are playing such a big part for Seattle right now. I mean,
San Fran just lost to the Cardinals last week at home. They were 7.5 point favorites, and they lost at home to the Cardinals. Why are they 3.5 point favorites on the road to the Seattle Seahawks?
I think Seattle's worse, and I think the books do too.
You
said the Cardinals are a playoff team.
I mean, but the Seahawks are first in their division.
Just because you have the most wins doesn't mean you're the best team.
I think that I think that the Seahawks are better than the Cardinals. Offensively, they play like a great team offensively. They just have defensive injuries right now.
Yeah, I think those defensive injuries are pretty significant. Who did the Seahawks also just came off a loss where they got pretty dominated by the Giants.
Yeah.
So I think that is also what is being taken into account here. I mean, unless I think the Giants are a little bit better than people think,
Yeah,
but
they are.
That's a game where if you think Seattle's a good team, that they probably take care of business there, because it was in Seattle too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just think that this line is crazy to me. This game right now, how they're matched up and how the season has played out thus far, like why isn't Seattle like a 1.5 point favorite at home?
That's fair. I
Three
think
and a
you're right
half
with the line. I agree with you. I think the line's way too high. Like if anything, I would have expected this to be around 1.5 for San Fran, but I can totally see why you're leaning 1.5 for Seattle. It's also hard as shit to play there. And I mean, both of these
I'm
teams are coming
astonished.
off a bad loss.
I'm astonished by this line, genuinely. I just think that like as of right now, like I don't think George Kittle's going to play this week. Like obviously CMC's still not playing. We really watched Jordan Mason over the last 2 weeks kind of crash back down to earth and like show who he really is. I don't know. I think that this is an auto bet at 3.5.
Oh wait, Seattle or the Niners also have some injuries too.
Yeah.
Who do they have? They just lost Fuanga for like a couple weeks. Jake Moody is out.
Special teams.
Charvarius Ward is managing a knee bruise. George Kittle is still recovering from a rib injury, and Fred Warner's dealing with an ankle injury. Yeah, I mean, this should be way closer of a line then if all of these guys are up in the air still.
Hold on. I'm betting it. I'm putting money on this right now because I just think this is crazy.
I've got Seattle Seahawks Tuesday practice update. I know it's Wednesday, but did not practice was Derek Hall, Byron Murphy, Uchenna Nwasu, Tariq Woolen. Limited participation was Julian Love. But then it looks like everybody else here practiced for like full practice for Seattle. Another thing about this game is all-time jersey matchup. We're getting both teams in their throwbacks, which is just lovely to see. Seattle has the best throwback uniforms in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm locked out of my mailbox currently.
Great.
But when I get in there, I have a clean throwback Seahawks pullover.
How are you locked out of your mailbox? You just got your other two.
Just stop. Like you're already asking way too many questions.
You lost the key.
Anyway,
you swallowed the key.
I plan to move on from this conversation. Yeah, I love this matchup for the Seattle Seahawks at home. 3.5 point underdogs at home is just crazy. I just boosted that on FanDuel. I used a 30% boost. It made it to plus 115. I mean, I think that's a great bet. I love that bet. So just something to look out for. Do you have anything else that you want to add about this? I just think Gino might have a day.
Yeah, if all of these guys are out for San Fran, it's going to be a tough time covering all the weapons that Seattle has.
No doubt. All right, dude, I'm telling you right now that like I'm not trying to be cocky or anything like that. And if I'm wrong about every game, like it is what it is. But I think I'm seeing the board like super clear right now.
Okay. I
don't know what it is
in Mandarin. So
like, I think that like, I genuinely think that I have an opportunity to win all my bets this weekend.
That's all that you can ask for. That's all you can ask for.
The next game that we have on the docket here that I love all of them, by the way, is the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Chicago Bears. This line last week would have been 3 to 3.5 points. The Jaguars went out and won. Now the line's 1.5 point. I absolutely love the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Bears this week. I do.
I'm smiling because I have the Jags as one of my $1 million picks.
I just think it's crazy like that because realistically, like no matter what, Like the Bears, if the Bears were going to win this game, the line would be like 3 points.
Yeah.
But
It
it's
started
not.
at 2.5.
It's not though.
I
It's-
took the I have the Jags as one of my picks in $1 million picks. I think that they finally figured stuff out on the offensive side of the football. Now, it sucks that you have to go play a really good Bears defense, but if anybody knows how to operate going and playing in London, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
They know it.
They're the London Jaguars.
Yeah.
And that's why I love them in this situation. Rookie going over to London to play for the first time. You gotta get used to it. You gotta figure out your schedule. Trevor Lawrence has done this 19 times.
And also the Jaguars are starting to get healthier week by week. Their offense is starting to look better week by week. And I don't know. I just love them in this spot over like this is a home game for the Jaguars.
100%.
So they're home dogs. I love the home dogs this weekend. Give me the Jaguars. I'm taking their money line.
I'm right there with you. We've got another day of 9:30 to midnight football.
Well, I love when the games are like I like the morning games. I don't know about everybody else. I just think that they're like I love waking up in the morning and just like drinking a cup of coffee and like chilling and just like watching a football game. Like it's like nice.
That's right.
Next game on the docket, we have the Commanders at the Ravens. The Ravens are 6.5 point favorites. I don't know this for a fact, and I would have to like just look on Twitter and like the guys who tweet this out. The Commanders have to be the most bet dog this entire weekend. The Commanders are 4-1. Everybody loves Jaden Daniels. Everybody thinks he's a dog. Everybody thinks that this game is going to be a high flying matchup. I love the under in this game at 51.5 for the Ravens. And on top of it, I think the Ravens roll them. I could see this being like a 31-10 type of game. I just don't think Jaden Daniels has played a team like this yet. I don't think the Commanders have those weapons to like exploit the Ravens the way that you see like the way that like a Bengals could because they have two elite wide receivers. So I don't know. I just think this might be a spot where the entire public might be all over the Commanders just because of how well they've been playing, and they're 6.5 point underdogs, and their money line's fat.
100%. I think so many people are going to be on that. With how well Washington's been playing, and the public being not good at gambling, like they see 6.5 and it's like, oh, okay, well, give us that every day of the week. This is a how good are you actually game for Washington. If they go in there and they keep it close and they cover, then I think it's fair to take Washington a little bit more seriously than we have. But if they go in there and just get absolutely stomped by Baltimore, which could happen, we already know that Baltimore's a really good team, but if you go in there and get stomped, I need people to come back to earth with the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I'd love the under in this game, though. 51.5 is so many points. Like, I think that like we had a big offensive explosion last week, no Diddy, and it'll probably come back a little bit because people watched last week. They're going to be like overs. And I think that this might be a little bit of an unders week, especially when the totals are this high at 51.5.
It could be over October, though.
It could be, but it might not be as well.
Have
you ever thought of that? It could have easily not be.
I worked that into my hypothesis.
Okay.
The numbers are leaning for over October.
Okay.
But the numbers have been wrong before.
Definitely. Okay.
This is also
ahead,
this is also the Lamar Jackson playing against his
predecessor,
the Walmart version of himself.
Yeah.
No disrespect.
No, for sure. I mean, obviously Lamar Jackson's the name brand version.
He's Wegmans.
Yes. Next, we have Bucks at New Orleans Saints. I watched the New Orleans Saints on Monday night. They suck. They're starting Spencer Rattler. I hate Spencer Rattler. I don't care if he played well during camp.
I hate him too.
Todd Bowles versus a rookie quarterback in his first start will absolutely
ugly.
exploit him. So I love the Buccaneers at -3.5 here. And I definitely think that they handle business on the road in New Orleans.
Yeah, another team that I had in my $1 million picks was the Bucks. It was an auto play when I saw that Spencer Rattler was the starting quarterback. I think it could get really ugly. He's going to have pressure the entire day. Todd Bowles is literally going to be sending the house at him, switching up looks, switching positions. It's going to get ugly for Spencer Rattler this week, I think.
I completely agree with you. I don't have anything else other than me just like I said, I'm going to hit all these bets this week. So I have a pick for every game.
All right. I wanted to I kind of wanted to talk about the Sunday night game, Cincinnati, New York.
Well, brother, we have 4 1:00 games left.
Okay. Rattle, go ahead.
We got the Cleveland Browns at the Philadelphia Eagles. Line is -9.5. Eagles are favored. The over-under is 42.5. I look at this. The Philadelphia Eagles should never, ever be favored by over a touchdown against any single team in the NFL, even if it's the Panthers. So this is an absolute click it, auto bet. Browns +9.5. I don't have to think about it. The Eagles aren't good. I might even sprinkle the money line here because I think that this is the Sirianni fire game, and the Cleveland Browns will come into Philadelphia with Deshaun Watson and beat the Philadelphia Eagles with them as 9.5-point favorites. So I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns spread at +9.5, and I'm going to sprinkle their money line at +370.
Yeah, I agree with you on the 9.5-point spread piece of this because we haven't seen the Eagles play like really good football this entire season. Now it helps that they get Smitty and AJ Brown back, but 9.5 points is still a lot in the NFL. Those guys in Cleveland get paid to play too. And I think you're right. If this is the Nick Sirianni potential fire game, if they go out there and lose as 9.5-point favorites, this place might burn down.
For sure.
I'll be at the game. I will be giving you live updates. And if the Eagles lose, like I might not ever be back.
Well, I'm letting you know. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen right now. The Eagles are going to get the ball first. They're going to run a dive with Saquon. Then they're going to throw a 3-yard out incomplete to Dallas Goedert. Then they're going to run a screenplay to Smitty, like a bubble screen, and the entire crowd's going to start booing.
Correct. I will be booing.
So I'm letting you know what's going to happen. Mark that down. The Eagles fans are fucked. The Phillies are going to lose this week, and the Eagles
they're losing. Oh, they're not losing right now, I don't think.
And the Eagles are going to lose to the Browns, and it's going to be a grim weekend.
The Phillies are winning, actually.
It's going to be a grim weekend in the city of Philadelphia. Book it.
I mean, I don't care about the Phillies. I want them to lose, but if the Eagles lose, I'll be in some serious pain. Unless they fire Sirianni right after, in which I will have a completely new outlook on life. But if they go out there and like squeak out a win, they win by like 3. I still think that there will be very, very unsatisfied fans if the Eagles only go out there and win by 3. I mean, the Cleveland Browns have looked like one of the worst teams in the NFL this entire season.
That's why they're going to win this game.
Correct.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson's going to go out there and play like 2020, 2019 Texans Deshaun Watson. Don't quote me if that's the wrong year, but you get my point. And I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be physically ill.
No doubt. All right. Next game. Dude, I have a pick for every game. We have the Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans. The Colts just lost Michael Pittman Jr. today. They don't have Anthony Richardson. Jonathan Taylor has an ankle sprain. Their defense looks like shit. I love the Titans in this spot coming off of a bye week. I just think that like the Colts need to get healthy. Like that's really what it comes down to. Like when we came into the season, we sat here and we were like, man, we love Anthony Richardson. We love Jonathan Taylor. We love Michael Pittman Jr. Well, if those three guys aren't playing, I'm not going to bet on the Colts ever. So I think with this being only 2.5 points, it's in a close spot, and I think that they could probably win this game by 3, if not a touchdown.
Yeah, but are you taking into account the fact that the Colts just signed Jack Wilson today, who's 6'10", 315 pounds, and only has 14% body fat?
I wasn't, but it doesn't change my pick.
No, I do agree with you. I actually think that we could see a decently high scoring game here because for some reason, like Joe Flacco still slings the pill around, and
sure.
they still can put up points. It's just a matter of you're putting a lot of faith in Will Levis. I'm not going to lie, and I have like almost zero faith in him. This is a game that I probably will stay away from, but if I actually had to make a pick, I would lean towards the Colts. I think Joe Flacco likes throwing the football to Alec Pierce and Josh Downs a lot anyways. So I think that is a significant part of it. Now, obviously not having Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor is never good, but I don't trust Will Levis to put together a complete football game. I don't think he has yet this year.
Yeah, I'm with you to a point, but like I don't.
You think there's just too many injuries on
the Joe Flacco and the Joe Flacco story is great. Like good for him. He's had a little bit of revitalization late in his career. Your quarterback's not playing, and at some point that matters. Like Anthony Richardson is not on the field. And I think that your best, I know that other people think otherwise of this. They think the opposite, that they think Flacco gives them the best chance to go far or do whatever. I disagree. There's a reason Anthony Richardson was taken as a top pick. There's a reason he was a starter going into the season, is because they think that he could win in big games and do great things for him. And I think that like similar to like what happened with Joe Flacco last year in the playoffs where he kind of got figured out. Yeah, I think that there's an opportunity that a Titans team with a decent secondary and a good defensive line can figure this team out. So I'm more betting on the Titans defense than the Titans offense. And quite frankly, like I know at times that the Titans offense doesn't look the best, but like ultimately they have a lot of good playmakers, like, and everyone's healthy. They have D-Hop, they have Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard's been playing really good for them. So I think that like they can still go out there and score points if need be.
Remember what I said last year about backup quarterbacks in the NFL? I think they can give you realistically like 4 decent games max. And if they're asked to start more than that is when it really starts to go downhill. I think that Flacco's still in that 4-game stretch. And I think we could still see a good version of him this weekend. But I do think you make a good point that Tennessee is healthy on defense. And if there was ever a moment for them to lean on the defense, it's probably this week. It's just a matter of, can Will Levis not make an idiotic play, which
he's going to, but that's fine.
I don't. Okay, but can he limit it to 1? Is what it'll probably come down to. If he can limit it to 1, then they probably can win this football game. But I don't know.
I think
Mr. Mayo.
I think the Miami Dolphins game for the Titans, we will look back on that and be like, that was a turning point in the season for them, where they pushed the button, everything was on easy mode, and it gave them an opportunity to actually like see real talent, but like execute against real talent, even though that we don't think the Dolphins are good.
That was like a, not necessarily like a get right game because they didn't go out there and like wax them, but like a
kinda
figure some things out.
They waxed them.
What was the score? 38, 31, 20 or something? What was the score of that game? I can't remember.
Let me take a look here. It was
28-14.
What week did they play?
I think it was 2 Mondays ago.
31-12.
31-12. All right, yeah, that's a waxing.
They waxed
That's a get right game. Yeah, you're right.
So like I said,
Okay.
I just like it, and that's what it is.
Yeah, that's fair.
Next game, we have the Houston Texans at the New England Patriots. +7 is the line. The over-under is 38.5. Drake May is playing for the Patriots this week. Me and Nick kind of got into it last night when we were talking. He was like, that's so stupid. Like, the Patriots like shouldn't start Drake May, like blah, blah, blah. Jacoby Brissett did his time, did what he had to do. It's time to start Drake May. I don't care if it's against the Texans. Honestly, the Texans defense isn't that crazy. So I think that it's a good opportunity for him to go out there against one of the best teams in the NFL. And I said to him last night, he was like, dude, like they just aren't good. Like they don't have anybody. They have a bad O-line. Like they don't have any skill players. It's like, we said the same thing about the Commanders. Like I said the same thing about the Commanders. They don't have any skill players. They don't have an O-line. Their defense sucks. Like blah, blah. Well, I think the Patriots have a better defense than the Commanders do. And if Drake May can come in and lift some talent around him and play some good football, which I think he's capable of doing, I like them doing that. And like the reasoning why they had to play him is because you can't lose the locker room. You can't just look at guys when everybody in the locker room knows, like, dude, we have Drake May, and like if you put him out there, we think we have a better shot to win. Yeah. And you can't like look at guys and be like, well, like we're trying to get a good pick for next season. Like this isn't the NBA. So you have to do a good job of balancing like now and the future. And I think like throwing Drake May in here at this time is just like the right move to do. Jacoby Brissett served his purpose for this team this year, took his beatings, and it's time for Drake May to do his thing. And I'm excited to watch him play. And I absolutely love the Patriots at +7. Go ahead.
No, go finish your thought.
The reasoning why I like the Patriots +7 is because I just don't like the Texans offense. They lost Nico Collins. That's their big play guy who seems to dig them out of a ton of problems, who can go and get them a big play if needed and big touchdown. Losing him for the next couple of weeks, I think that we see maybe like a little bit more of a toned down version of this offense, regardless if they get Joe Mixon back or not. They still have a bad O-line. CJ Stroud's playing well, but like their offense is struggling to convert touchdowns, like kind of like we talk about with the Chiefs, and their kicker is putting them in a lot of good situations. I think this Patriots defense is going to be one of the best that they face so far this season. And I think that they could keep it within 7 points. And I'm going to monitor this because I think by game time, it could get longer. No Diddy.
Yeah. I love what you said about losing the locker room with the Jacoby Brissett situation. Cause like, I think you're spot on. These guys are out there like, all right, well, we know what Jacoby Brissett's capable of, and we've seen him do the same shit for 5 weeks. Like, we want to give this new guy a shot. This is the reason we drafted him. This is the quarterback of our future. Like, our offense is so limited with Jacoby Brissett in there. He can't throw the ball downfield. And I think with the athleticism that Drake May provides too, like the offensive line might not look nearly as bad, because Jacoby Brissett's probably a statue back there. I know that the only Patriot fan in my life was excited to hear that Drake May was playing. So I think the fans are probably anxious about it too. Now I think there's probably nerves because obviously like you don't want anything bad to happen to him this early in the season, but like it's got to be frustrating to sit there every week and watch this Patriots team not be able to move the football down the field and know that you have potentially the quarterback of your future just sitting back there. So I think this was the right move overall as an organization as well. On the Houston side of things, the Nico Collins injury is going to hurt a lot, I think. I think we'll see more of Tank Dell, I hope. Because it seems like he's been pretty quiet this year. But I do think that this Texans offense, as we've seen it struggle, I do think we'll see them struggle even more. Obviously, losing their best wide receiver at this point for this stretch of games is not ideal. And I think the Patriots are going to come out there with a little bit more of a spark, knowing, hey, we have a little bit more of a chance here on offense now that we have a guy that can push the ball down the field. So and the New England defense is good on top of that. So
I
think
picked up
you are
Jalen
onto
Polk.
something.
I picked up Jalen Polk in fantasy. He was sitting on the wire, and he's projected 7 points. And I was like, you know what? Like Drake May is going to play for the rest of the
Take
season.
a chance.
I like that. Like he's just sitting there. I got him for free. I forgot to put my waiver claim in for him last night. He's still sitting there when I woke up this morning. Got him for nothing. So I don't know. If anybody listens to fantasy, like take a shot on Jalen Polk. People drafted him in the late rounds anyway. And he's probably sitting on your waiver wire. You have Drake May coming in now. Like why not take a shot on him?
Yeah, I completely agree. He was a guy that we were both like we liked a lot coming out. So, and especially in a team like this young team. So, I think that could be a good like fit together, him and Drake May. So, I would be excited if I was New England. Even though the line's at 7, I do think it is worth monitoring too. Like if it does creep up to like 8.5, like right before game time, I would probably end up taking it too. I could see this being like a legitimate teaser team for this weekend. So I'm going to keep my eye on that as well. But I don't hate New England here.
Next game, Cardinals at Green Bay at 1:00. Cardinals money line plus 194. The Cardinals just haven't burned me really this season. Like obviously they took a tough loss to the Commanders. Outside of that, they've covered every single game that they've been in. And I think that this is going to be one of those games where it's like, okay, the Cardinals are actually a real deal in the NFC. I texted you the other day and I was thinking about it. Why can't the Cardinals sneak in as a playoff team? Our main concern about this Cardinals team was their defense against one of the most explosive offenses in the entire NFL last Sunday. They forced a fumble on the 8-yard line when they much needed it. And they forced a pick against Brock Purdy, who honestly plays flawless football and won them the football game. So their defense stepping up in big moments. They held the Lions to 0 second half points. They've held the 49ers to 0 second half points. Right? Correct?
The Niners. Yeah.
So, I mean, those are two offenses that like everybody talks about how great they are and how good their skill players are. And this defense, who's supposed to be a bottom tier defense in the NFL, if they're able to hold these high flying offenses to 0 second half points, that means something. I know I said that the last episode, but it does. And I think coming up against the Packers, I still think Jordan Love's a little shaky. You can tell by the way he's playing. I don't think he's still 100% yet. I love the over in this game at 47.5. The only thing that scares me is we need to see more consistent play out of the Cardinals offense across the board. Kyler made some big plays last week, but he can't do it all of himself. And I would like to see the running game work a little bit more. And I would like to see the Cardinals kind of roll into full form. But this is the week where people are going to have to start sitting there and being like, okay, the Cardinals are actually the real deal. They beat the Niners. They kept it close with the Lions. They kept it close with the Bills. And they went out and beat the Packers, who we all thought were going to be a Super Bowl team. So Cardinals money line, something to monitor this week.
Another thing that you didn't mention was just how open this NFC West is. Obviously, you mentioned the Niners already, but Seattle's a flawed team, clearly. It's not like they're going out there and dominating week in and week out. And then the Rams are just decimated by injuries. Like the Cardinals right now sit at 2-3. Seattle's 3-2. Like obviously it's super early in the season, but there doesn't look like a team out of those three, Seattle, Arizona, and San Fran, that are worlds ahead better than the other. So I think it's wide open. I think if the Cardinals can get a little bit more consistent on offense, then I think they have a legitimate shot to even win the NFC West. I mean, if we said coming into this that their offense was going to be a top 5 offense. I don't think they have proven that yet, but I still think it's in there. And if they can get this offense clicking more consistently, I think we'll start to see those numbers jump and them winning more football games.
Something else to monitor: their first round pick on the defensive line is coming back this week.
Huge.
Like that means something. So I'm excited to keep betting on this Cardinals team. If you haven't been betting on them, start betting on them. They're a good team to bet on. They've been profitable all year. All right, so
How has Max Melton been playing, if at all?
Well, he plays all the time. Listen,
I haven't
the way that you have to look at things as a rookie corner, are you giving up big plays? No.
Yeah.
The big play guy who usually gives something up is Sean Murphy Bunting. So yeah, he's been playing pretty well.
I feel like Sean Murphy Bunting's a guy that takes like a lot of risks in the secondary.
He's just a dumbass.
Like high risk, high reward type guy. I could be completely off.
And he always gets a penalty. I hate him. Sorry, I don't want to talk about him right now. All right, I'll fly through these. Chargers at Broncos. Broncos money line, give it to me plus 136. I think they're playing good football. And I think that they're just going to continue to get better. Their defense is nasty, and I just think Bo Nix is going to start playing a little bit better.
I don't think I was just going to say I don't think that this Chargers team has proven that they can go out there and like put up a ton of points. And I think the way that Denver wins games is just by sticking in it, relying on their defense, and then getting decent quarterback play out of Bo Nix, which he's kind of turned it around. He looked better last week.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Next game, Pittsburgh Steelers at Vegas. Lines plus 3. The over-unders at 36.5. I love the under in this game at 36.5. I'd be taking that. And like I said, this is a game that I'm monitoring because if the Steelers lose this, they are going to be in shambles. So I just think that this is a game where it's like, okay, like honestly for both teams, like the Raiders lose this, there's going to be some rumblings that start happening. And then the Steelers, if they lose this, they're just going to be in shambles.
What needs to happen for the Steelers to fire Mike Tomlin?
Miss the playoffs this year.
Okay.
So this is what somebody said this to me the other day. It was Bo. He was like, the Mike Tomlin disrespect with you needs to stop. And I'm like, Mike Tomlin, we did this in the offseason. Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. And then he was like, well, it's not his fault. He hasn't had a competent quarterback in the last, like, however long. And I'm like,
you're the head coach.
That is your fault because you're in charge of developing your players. You took Kenny Pickett in the first round. It didn't work out. Then you have all of this BS going on at the quarterback position for the last, 5 seasons? Like, at some point, but his defense is really good. Cool. Good for you. You like the defense and defense is playing really well, go be a defensive coordinator somewhere. So yeah. I don't think that I do think that Mike Tomlin's on the hot seat. I said it before the season and I'll say it now. They came out kind of flying to start the year and everybody's like, oh, Pittsburgh Steelers doing it again. I don't see it. I didn't see it even when they were winning. They dropped 2 straight and I'm monitoring this game against the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, this game is going to probably feels like a make or break situation for both of these teams / head coaches. I can't say that I would want to start either one of these quarterbacks for the Raiders if I'm Antonio Pierce in a game that feels like you really need to win. So that's a really tough situation to be in, but also you got yourself here. And then just overall with the whole Steelers situation, I mean, I don't understand. I think I don't know if we see Russ start in this game, but I think if we go out there and we see Justin Fields put up a really bad first quarter, maybe an ugly start to the second, I think we could see Russ pop out late second quarter, early third quarter in this football game.
I think he starts this week. I don't know. That's my gut feeling.
Okay.
Next game, Falcons at Carolina. Game I'm not touching. Falcons are weird at times. It's just not a game that I want to touch. Next game, Detroit Lions at the Dallas Cowboys. Nobody wants to take the Dallas Cowboys. Nobody. They think they suck. They're not good on defense. So I'm going to take them +3. Like I said, the Lions did play at a really high level last week. Jared Goff didn't have an incompletion. The running game looked amazing. All of that, and their offense went out and did their thing. But ultimately, you got to take the Cowboys at home when they're an underdog +3. I still think that they're a really good football team, and I like them against the Lions this week.
Yeah, I looked at this game for a while and was like, picking Detroit at -3 feels too obvious in this situation.
So obvious.
They just played their best offensive football game 2 weeks ago. They're coming off a bye. They're well rested. Like they've had over a week to prepare for Dallas. Like Dallas is like Micah's banged up. They've got guys banged up left and right. But Dallas did just come off a pretty gritty win against the Steelers on Monday night. They're at home. Dallas does play better at home, I believe. And it just feels too obvious to pick Detroit here. So I didn't have this in my $1 million picks, but this was one that I looked at very intensely to pick Dallas. And I think I do like Dallas. I think Dallas might win this game outright.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too.
I think CeeDee Lamb might go crazy.
Yeah. Well, this secondary is brutal.
That's what I'm saying. I think we could see CeeDee Lamb go out there and have like 12 for like 152.
That'd be great.
Tutties.
Next game, Bengals at the New York Giants. The line is -3.5. Over under is 48.5. My first thought when I saw this line is, why are the Bengals 3.5 point favorites on the road against anybody in the NFL? They're 1-4. They're 1-4. They haven't won football games. Their defense is really bad. Why are they favorited on the road? Why are they favorited? Not only favorited, but favorited by 3.5 points on the road against the Giants? Makes no sense to me. This is a bet it and close your nose, but like Giants plus 3.5.
Yeah, this was the other game that I looked at and was like, this line makes absolutely no sense to me. I think maybe the only reason I could see people leaning Cincinnati is because they're pretty much in like a do or die every week moving forward. So this is a game that I would stay away from a team perspective, but I love over 48.5 here.
Okay.
So
I don't hate that.
I think that we're going to have to see Cincinnati go out there and score a ton of points like they did last week against the Ravens. Malik Neighbors is back. And I mean, I kind of like the combo of Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors, and Danny Dimes has been playing like decent football this season, and the Bengals defense is atrocious. So like that's going to be an issue for them, I think.
I completely agree with you.
And that running back, was it Gray or Tracy or something?
Yeah,
Gary Tracy or something? Yeah.
Tracy.
He looks kind of good.
Yeah, he's good. I think
he looks pretty good.
I liked him. I wanted him in fantasy this year. My team's just like clogged up. I have too many injuries, but he's good. And I think that he could probably take that job from Devin Singletary. He hasn't proven anything this year.
Yeah, it's definitely an open running back situation there, but he did look really good last week. I was impressed.
All right, last pick. I know we'll talk about this game in depth later, but Jets, Buffalo Bills at the New York Jets. And I'm taking the Jets money line at plus 120. Josh Allen right now, I don't like him. Like, this is the Josh Allen where I like shit on, said that he's not as good as everybody thinks he is, until he turns it around and shows that he isn't going to go 9 for 30, which is like literally it was like one of the most like the worst completion percentages in NFL history. I just think that like Jets get the boost on the interim head coach situation. They need to put together a good game, go out and beat the Buffalo Bills. So those are my $1 million picks. I have 15 picks. I'm taking a loan out this week because I'm down bad, but I'm going to put 4.25 mil on all of these picks and putting $100K across the board. And then I'm going to throw $25K on the Browns money line.
Okay. All right. I only have 4, but I've got Eagles Bucks parlay, 85 grand to win 75,350 and 20 cents. I've got Brandon Ayuk touchdown. I think he's so due.
Yeah, he is.
And we finally saw him look like the regular Brandon Ayuk last week. So I'm taking his anytime touchdown, 35 grand to win 56,000. I've got Giants Bengals over 48.5, 75 grand to win 71,429, and then Jags money line 25,000 to win 27,000.
Love it. Yeah, I read off all my picks when we went over all the games. I love this slate this weekend. I don't know what it is about it. I just
You
feel
need to
good.
you need to have a touchdown score for every Thursday night until you lose one.
I lost last week because I picked Bijan and I didn't want to. Like I didn't
Oh,
want
I thought you said T Higgins, but I guess that would have been for later.
I did have T. Higgins in a touchdown. My touchdown this week. I'm just gonna back you on the Brandon Ayuk tutty. Like I just think he's like you said, he's so due. And these wide
So
receivers have been scoring on Thursday nights.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like the Thursday night game is where receivers go to have like their to get out of a slump.
Definitely. All right. Well, that's week 6. That's week 6 $1 million picks. I will be posting a shit ton of bets in the Discord this weekend. If you want to join the Discord, link is below. Type in there, send your bet slips, what you're feeling, and maybe you guys can help me out to win some bets as well. Help Noah win some bets. He needs it bad. And do you have anything else that you want to add this week, or are you good to go?
Shout out to the guy that ran into you today at work.
Yeah, don't run down on me like that in public again. That's all I gotta say.
All right. No, I think we covered everything. Just another week of football, man. I'm happy we're here.
Yeah, me too. Let's win. See ya.
All right. Go Yankees. Go Birds.